Buried amid the millions of pages of documents about Jeffrey Epstein released by the Justice Department in recent days comes word then businessman Donald Trump reached out to law enforcement himself in the early stages of initial investigations in the one-time financier. According to the FBI, Trump told the then Palm Beach police chief, quote, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." The FBI learned about this in a 2019 interview with Michael Reiter, the former Palm Beach police chief. Well, the document doesn't mention when Reiter spoke with Trump. The former chief tells the Miami Herald he interviewed Trump in July 2006. That would be in the early stages of law enforcement probes into allegations against Epstein. Asked about this revelation, the Justice Department told CBS News, quote, "We're not aware of any corroborating evidence that the president contacted law enforcement 20 years ago." And today at the White House, the story changed ever so slightly.
It was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006. I don't know the answer to that question. What I'm telling you is that what President Trump has always said is that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep.
So you heard her there say, Caroline Leavitt didn't rule out if the president spoke with the police chief and added that they're moving on from this. But Congress is not, because today also yielded a more public explanation from Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick about when he met and spent time with Epstein. The secretary recounted in an interview last year he first met Epstein in 2005 after he moved into a New York apartment next door to the former businessman. In that interview, Lutnick said the interaction, quote, disgusted him and that he vowed never to meet with Epstein again. The Epstein documents show they did communicate years later. In December 2012, Epstein invited Lutnick to lunch on his private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the two men had business dealings as recently as 2014. So today, members of the Senate Appropriations Committee sought clarification, and Lutnick provided it.
I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York, right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times. I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife all together.
Lutnick said that he had reviewed the emails himself and didn't find any other mentions of him and said there was no other wrongdoing. His wife was fully aware of everything he had done or said or every time he'd interacted with Epstein. And while political leaders in other countries have resigned or been fired for associations with Epstein, nobody in the American government has stepped down or been removed for knowing the convicted sex offender or his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. But the drip, drip, drip that continues from the millions of documents is starting to give us a better sense of who knew what and when. Thing is, it's painfully slow and overdue for victims, for their families, and those who want justice.